Well, Doc, we have golf lessons. We got Father's Day gift certificates available. If anybody would like one, they can email me at larryrinkergolf@gmail or call or text me at that number 407-810-7489. And Doc, it's just really great. Here you are, you're a top 100 teacher. You've been a top 100 teacher for a long time. Talk a little bit about how Wright Balance began. I know Dr. Frank Jobe was one of the people you did the research with.
Yeah, Dr. Job's lab we met. You'll see Mickey Melman and Bob Watkins. Who's not in here is Fred Clare. Fred was the uh, general manager for the Dodgers for 30 years. And Fred and Mickey were good friends. We all met. We talked about the project. The entire project was on balance. And Frank Jobe was very excited about having us in because it was the first, he did the original golf studies in the 80s and wrote the first book, 30 Exercises for Golf. So Dr. Jobe was tremendous. He was present at every day we did the study, he was there. Uh, a lot of people don't know that he started the Centinela trailer you worked out in, I'm sure, on the
Yes.
PGA Tour. It was out on the tour. He had a physical therapist that worked there, and he traveled with the tour, was a consultant. He did the Tommy John surgery. So Dr. Jobe's contribution to sports, to medicine, they go on and on. Just a tremendous, tremendous person. Wonderful person.
It's interesting. I've written a new book called The Journeyman. It's going to be out in a few months. But in my research, I found out that we had that mobile fitness center back in 1984. Dr. Jobe was a part of that. So pretty neat that we had that with physical therapists, some light weights in the beginning, some bikes to ride. So some guys who couldn't really go, they were able to go into the truck and get some therapy and still be able to get out on the golf course. So it's pretty incredible what Dr. Jobe has done, and it's amazing that your relationship with him and the PGA Tour's relationship with him goes way back. So another person that was part of your team, talk about Dr. Michael Millman.
Mickey's a dear friend. I met Mickey at Callaway where they were doing research. He and I were both on the research staff, looking at eye-hand coordination. We became fast friends. We were assigned the same project there. We'd meet once a month. But eventually, Mickey would come and see me. He wanted to learn to play golf. So he'd come to see me where I was teaching at Pelican Hill. He'd schedule his entire Friday morning. He'd hit about 10 balls and we'd talk for 3 hours. And ultimately, that's what led to the balance research, our relationship. We worked together for 2 years there on every Friday morning when he was in town. Mickey is an internist. Mickey brought the carrying angle. You're going to be talking about the carrying or the power angle.
Right.
Mickey brought that angle to the research setting. It is one of the most significant considerations as we move forward and what fell out of the research.
And then you have Dr. Robert Watkins. This guy's pretty amazing. His client list is who's who's.
That's absolutely so correct. He did Peyton Manning's neck surgery, Dwight Howard's back surgery. He did Gronkowski's back surgery. The list goes on and on. He's also here in Los Angeles. We did part of the project was to do research on something called a dead bug, an exercise program. He put all of his patients on dead bug to keep them out of surgery. Dr. Watkins would tell you that 95% of back surgeries are unnecessary. And he would prescribe these exercise programs to keep patients out of surgery. He, in my opinion, is the father of core training.
Wow. And his client list, I mean, he did Peyton Manning's neck surgery, Dwight Howard's back surgery, Troy Aikman, Don Mattingly, Joe Montana. It's pretty amazing who he is. I mean, this is the team. This is the team. And then Dr. James Smith, he was your physicist who helped to come up with the algorithms.
Yeah, Dr. Smith has a doctorate in theoretical physics, did a postdoc in biophysics, worked for the Center of Disease Control. but he was a golf nut too. I don't know if you know this. He's my brother-in-law. I've known him since I was
Oh,
12 years
really?
old.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
I've known him since I was 12 years old. His daughter is a flight attendant, so he was able to fly in and set up all the equipment. He's in Atlanta, and so I knew him. We worked closely together. He did the algorithms, and he's not only a brother-in-law. He's like a brother. He's a dear friend. But we worked so closely together many, many years.
And then, last but not least, yours truly. There you are, Dr. David Wright. You hold 2 doctorates. And it's called Wright Balance because you set up the research design, wrote the protocols, and ran the balance study for the duration of this project, 2003 to 2007. And out of that came Wright Balance, and you came up with 3 swing models, upper, mid, and low core.
That's correct, yes.
So it's pretty amazing that in today's world, really, golf instruction for full swing is about matching things up. Like somebody's grip, if you have a strong grip, left-hand grip, that means your hips are really rotated at impact. And that would be your low core player. So I'm going to show some video here of Kathleen on the left. And so someone that has these kind of rotations with the lower body at impact, that's a low core. And that is your Dustin Johnson's strongest grip, correct?
That's correct. Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, Kathleen. It's a very rare characteristic in players. We don't see very many low core players at all. I happen to be low core myself.
And Hogan was low core, and you taught low core because that's what you did. That's what worked for you. And I really believe a lot of us teach what we know, what works for us. But you've helped me identify, I knew it from playing the tour, that there was more than one way to swing a golf club and make a score, because I saw it every day on the PGA Tour. But now you've come up with a system where we have Kathleen as low core, and then my sister Lori, who won twice on the LPGA Tour. Here's the swings we all wish we had. These are the swings that most people are teaching, that mid-core, where the hips are rotated tour average about 40 to 45 degrees. Now, Lori's grip is nowhere near as strong as Kathleen's, so her grip is going to match her hip rotation as well.
You'll notice if you look at the trail arm delivery here too, Larry, Kathleen is much more under.
Right.
And Lori's right at side on at impact.
Well, it's interesting that Kathleen's right arm or under, she is going to swing out to the right the most because that's where her palm is facing at address.
Right.
And then Lori, her right-hand palm is not neutral, it's slightly under. So she probably going to swing down the line, or she could swing a little in to out. But it's amazing that players that are low core, from Dustin Johnson to Lee Trevino to Paul Azinger, they all aim left and swing out and play a cut. That's what Bob Toski did with Judy Rankin. He taught her with a really strong grip how to hit a cut. And that's what I believe Butch did with Dustin Johnson. He eliminated the left side of the golf course for him. But the interesting thing to me, Doc, is I kept trying to look like Lori Rinker at impact. But I'm upper core, and my hips are going to be rotated the least. And here I am standing up, coming out of posture, jumping with my hips hardly rotated all at impact. That's upper core. And I thought that was wrong. I thought I needed to look like Lori.
Now, I've heard that so many times, Larry, from players coming to see me too. What are you trying to do? I'm trying to clear my hips.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the three images you have here are absolutely perfect for the various core regions. And you can see that you're all using the ground very differently.
Yeah, we are. And it's kind of interesting. Your friend, Dr. Bob Giambetti, who has a swing catalyst, he sees that upper core player, which, I don't know when they came up with this early extension. So I'm coming off the wall. I'm going to early extend as an upper core player, right?
Right.
But he has found, he measures students with Wright Balance to determine if they're upper, mid, or low core. And the ground forces match. So if we look at me as upper core, my right hip turns the most, I move the least laterally, and then I just rotate into a jump.
Right.
So what's number one ground force for upper core, Doc?
It's going to be rotational and vertical. You're going to
But
have,
vertical is the most.
yeah,
I remember the first time I hit on a swing catalyst, I had an 180% without even trying to jump.
yeah.
And this is natural. I'm not trying to do that. I have students say, hey, I want to rotate into a jump like you do. That's just me swinging. I was like that at 17.
Absolutely. And Larry, I've heard instructors, as we get more and more into ground reaction force, telling students jump at impact. And it should be, as you said, it's a natural process.
Right.
It comes out of all the matching. If the matching is there, you're going to get your verticals.
Right. And then Lori, as a mid-core player, uses those ground forces pretty evenly. She uses lateral, rotary, and verticals fairly evenly. And then Kathleen, our low-core players, they're going to use lateral and rotary the most, and they're going to use verticals the least. Because how are you going to be able to jump out of your heel? So here's Jordan Spieth going through. Low core, look at him right in his left heel there. How are you going to jump out of your left heel? It's impossible.
It is impossible. And as you talk about this, the upper core player at address through impact is on the balls of the feet.
Right.
Jordan Spieth at address through impact is going to be over the center of the arches.
Yeah.
And Lori, the mid-core player, is going to be between those two positions. So we're able literally, and you see this on the swing catalyst, we saw it, we had 1,000 sensors in each shoe. So we're able to see changes in balance based upon the golf swing.
Right. The other thing too, that low core player, as you told me, they stand the tallest and have the most knee flex.
Right.
And that knee flex matches their carrying angle. And that's what actually helps us with determining if somebody, where their grip should be.
Right.
So if we go back to our slideshow, here's our 9 core regions. 7, 8, 9 is upper. 4, 5, 6 is mid. 1, 2, 3 is low. And what you did with Dr. James Smith is your algorithm of measuring height, weight, shoe size, shoulder width, sternum width. Those 5 measurements come up with 9 stance widths.
Right.
Everybody has upper, mid, and low core stance widths, don't they?
They do. Yes.
And when they stand in them, they're going to have the balance that you've talked about.
Right. Yeah, if you go to 0, which your right foot is on there, and you go to, say, 9, and you had a little knee flex, a couple of things will happen. You'll go to the balls of the feet, and if you check your bite will be all the way forward in your mouth. So it goes all the way into the jawline. That sounds a little bizarre, but it's there.
Yeah, and that always is bizarre when you talk about someone's grip and how if the grip is too strong in the left hand, for a right-handed golfer, they bite in the back right of the mouth, and if it's too weak, they bite in the left. And that's why you say the core goes all the way up to the roof of the mouth.
Right.
So that low core player, strongest grip, they pivot around their trail leg, have the most lateral, least rotation in the backswing, hips the most rotated, strongest grip, and latest release. The mid-core player hybrid, this is the model most teachers are teaching off of because most tour players winning are mid-core, aren't they?
They are, yes.
So whether we talk about Brooks Koepka, Rory, Cameron Champ, Justin Rose, Adam Scott, name the pretty swings, your favorite swings on tour, right?
Right.
Yeah, so it's, you know, it's just interesting how we're so infatuated with this mid-core swing, but the truth is, you and I, based on what we've measured, believe that 66% of the population's upper core.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's what Bob Giambetti, and I think Bob is over 200 players now, but that's what his research showed.
And then that upper core player, weakest grip, they pivot around their front leg. They have the least lateral and most rotary in the backswing, so they turn the right or trail hip the most.
Right.
And then at impact, they rotate into a jump, so they have their weight in the balls of their feet. They jump. Their hips are not very rotated. And because of the jumping and coming out of posture, what do? When they come out of posture, they're standing up, aren't they?
Yeah, they're using the ground. That's where they're going to get their power too.
But it's interesting to me, Doc, that as an upper core player my whole life, that the three things that my students that are upper core are always being told, number one, they got to stay in posture. Number two, they got to get more rotated. And number three, they got to get more forward shaft lean.
Right.
And then after that's done, what do? Now they start hitting the ball to the right because rotation is a face opener. So now they start hitting to the right. Now they say strengthen that grip. Well, the grip has a lot to do with how much we can rotate, and measuring our carrying angle, standing in our correct stance width, is what determines our grip, isn't it?
That's right. Now, the carrying angle through the body is your angle of range of motion. So when it's set, you're going to have maximum range. When it's not set, it's going to restrict rotation.
So there's me measuring my carrying angle, which is about 159. And we're just measuring that angle. And that angle shows up a lot in the swing. But see, that angle turns into where my left hand should be,
right,
doesn't it?
That's your strength right there.
And it also affects my ability, my range of motion and freedom of motion in turning on my backswing as a right-handed golfer. And then the right hand can be under, or some golfers' right hand's on top.
Now that's important. That's important to test because when you go there, I know you don't have the same rotation you do in that weak right hand, more on top, as you do the stronger right hand. And it's different.
Personally, yes.
Yeah,
but it's always amazing when somebody has more with the right hand on top, like we're showing here in the slideshow.
Right.
And I've been surprised that I've had students that I thought that was a big change, and they go, "Oh, I used to grip it like that."
Right. I've heard that.
And then now that carrying angle, so now we're looking at this angle right here, and there's the carrying angle right there with my hands. And now I have it the way I want it, and that affects ball position, and now I'm ready to go. Now I have my hands on the club correctly, and it's pretty amazing, Doc. We can tell everybody from a beginner to a Hall of Famer where their grip should be, can't we?
Absolutely. Now, Larry, if that club were more vertical and you added your right hand, your hands would never work together. So presetting that carrying angle in your grip is set your ball position. It's set so much. So,
and that's when a low core player that has more angle in the hands Now the club's more here. When that club falls, their ball position is more back in their stance.
Absolutely, yes.
So all this, so much of your right balance is about setup. So grip. The other thing that comes out is the stance widths. And then we can also measure the hand to determine what size grip they should have in both the right and the left hand.
Right.
That's amazing. I've probably measured 600 people doing that, Doc. And it's amazing that the upper core player, we're going to be in this pad between the knuckle and where my finger goes in my hand. So right in this pad of both hands, okay, that middle finger, that's where I am as a 9. The mid core in the knuckle and low core on the other side of the knuckle. So when you grip the club, me as upper core, I want to feel it in that pad of both hands. And when I measure people's hands and measure and put them in the correct grip size for both hands, they're like, oh yeah, I feel it in both. It's amazing. How you ever came up with this stuff, I have no idea, Doc.
Well, it's many, many years and a lot of patience, and never stop asking why. The question why, my passion is the discovery and the teaching. So, but no. Sometimes, you have a hypothesis, you go test it. Before we release any of this, we test on a minimum of 40 subjects.
Wow.
So,
Well, it's certainly made my job easier. I really feel like I'm not guessing. I had a beginner. I had a new golfer who was a son of a good friend of mine today. And it's so cool taking them through and actually showing them where their hand should be on the club, what stance widths they should be in. They've got a chance.
yep.
I mean, you're in LA. You get good athletes come. It's probably amazing when you just give them the correct stance width and the correct grip and let them just go natural.
Absolutely. Yep.
We really could say Right Balance is helping people find their natural swings.
Yes. Natural is a key word. It's what fits the body. As we've talked before, trail arm delivery determines the core region. We all have strength in only one of those 9 stance widths, but the bottom line is that external shoulder rotation. Where does that trail arm fit in a stance width? And it changes by core region. So,
well, it's interesting. I had a gentleman, this is one of your tests. How far back can I bend my arm? You can see I can't rotate. I don't have a whole lot of external rotation in my right shoulder.
right.
And I just thought of this. I'm going to try and bring it up. I'm going to try and bring the gentleman up that it was here the other day. But he could bend his arm back quite a bit. I think it was Ben here. It was this gentleman here on the left. Yep, this is the gentleman. So this was after we worked, so he's in his correct stance widths. We've weakened his grip. It was too strong. But he kind of moved off the ball, which was low core. He had too strong of a grip, low core. But look where that right trail elbow is. And look how early he releases the club. So that's upper core, Doc.
Yes, it sure is.
And when I measured him, he had more strength. He was a 7. But it's amazing what do you think most people would want him to do? They'd want to do those 3 things. Hey, let's get more rotated.
Right.
Let's get the handle more up here and get more forward shaft lean. And if you look at him down the line, Doc, you're going to see he was coming over the top of it. You can see now he's got the club coming in, but look at him stand up.
Right.
Look how little he's rotated in impact. So his lesson was pretty simple. He needed to swing more in to out. He needed to weaken his grip, swing out and rotate his arms and hands and let it go. So a lot of times at the end of the day, Doc, the lessons are very simple.
They have become more and more so. I think when we started, all we really did was stance width in our training, and players got better just by getting in the correct stance width. Then we started matching the grip and the power spots understanding more and more about the carrying angle, and making sure when you grip the club you have shaft lean, as you just demonstrated.
Right.
Once those things come together, it becomes very, very simple. Once you know what the matching is, it really becomes a no-brainer.
Well, your models match up whether someone's upper, mid, or low core. And, you know, it's just really been fun taking this journey and taking this ride with you. And if you want more information on Doc Wright, you can go to wrightbalance.com. And if you want more information from me, you can visit larryrinker.com. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, Titleist, FootJoy, the Ritz-Carlton Golf Club Orlando, and the Red Sky Golf Academy in Vail, Colorado, and FlightScope. And Doc, it's always great to have you on the show, my friend. I've learned so much from you. I really believe you are revolutionizing the way we're teaching golf today.
Thank you, Larry. It's been great being with you as always. You take care. Be safe.
All the best. Next week, my guest is going to be John Sinclair. Don't miss it.